This is Phu Tuc in the jungles of central Vietnam. Here live and fight 800 Vietnamese popular forces and Montagnard tribesmen, plus a U.S. Army Special Forces A team. It is just such outposts, deep in Viet Cong-infested territory, which must be held to contain and discourage the enemy. But such camps can only remain if supplied. Because of the terrain and enemy activity, conventional supply is impossible. Phu Tuc must be supplied by air, and that's where the Air Force comes in. The task falls to the 310th Air Commando Squadron, operating out of Nha Trang, 70 miles to the south. Special Forces has radio requested urgently needed foodstuffs: potatoes, cabbage, rice, salt, bread, fish, and of all things, live cattle and pigs. Additionally, they need steel stakes to bolster concertina wire defenses. Thus begins Operation Parachutage. Special paradrop crates are made to order. The supply is assembled and the live cargo recruited. All important in the mission is choice of the delivery aircraft. The C-123 assault transport is the ideal. Whether the cargo is cows or ammunition, the C-123's ability to operate out of small, semi-improved airfields at low altitude and speeds as low as 110 knots make it well suited for accurate, safe drop of cargo. Since the beginning of 1966, the 48 C-123s operating in Vietnam have made an impressive record. In April alone, 6,766 combat sorties were flown, 13,968 tons of cargo delivered, and 40,110 passengers carried. In addition to carrying cargo, the C-123 provider is used extensively for tactical missions, such as defoliation and battlefield illumination. Powered by two Pratt & Whitney R2800 engines of 2,400 horsepower each, the Chase Aircraft Company C-123s feature special engine nacelles, which can be quickly disconnected for rapid engine replacement, an important consideration in close support combat operations. Cargo all loaded and six-man crew fully briefed, the Phu Tuc resupply mission moves out. If all goes well, there will be a banquet in Phu Tuc tonight. With fully 10,000 pounds of vital cargo, the C-123 proves itself again, airborne in just 1,575 feet of runway, 51,000 pounds of ship and load lifted in the distance usually reserved only for light aircraft. Almost immediately, radio contact with Phu Tuc reports weather favorable and the drop area secure. Minutes later, the pilot starts his descent toward the designated drop area. The crew is alerted, and the co-pilot calls for a smoke marker to mark the wind direction. The first pass orients the crew to the drop zone, an open area roughly the size of a football field. Wind direction is checked, and the Special Forces team confirms readiness. There's a tense moment as the aircraft makes a slow, wide turn. At 400 feet altitude, you need a straight run directly into the wind. There won't be long to wait now, and still no report of VC in the area. The cows and pigs will be first. All is ready. Stand by. If you've been wondering why meat is delivered on the hoof, remember that there is no refrigeration under these primitive conditions, and at jungle temperatures and humidity, storing fresh meat is impossible. The drop is good and right on target. The animals, their composure ruffled but otherwise unharmed, have completed their flying mission. They will be quickly uncrated and taken to waiting pens. The next pass is for delivery of vegetables and rice. And that's fortunate because this one's a streamer, but no harm done. Delivery has been made. The C-123 heads back for Nha Trang and another load for another camp. Phu Tuc has been resupplied and is ready to continue its constant vigil. To be sure, airlifting live animals is unorthodox, but there could be no better morale builder because it provides the means for these fighters to eat the way they most prefer. The Viet Cong are well aware of the importance of our aerial supply missions, but for all their attempts to stop them, all deliveries have been made with the loss of only a single aircraft from ground fire. Soon after delivery is completed, Montagnard women set about preparing a celebration feast in honor of the arrival of supplies and Phu Tuc's continued victories. The main course will be a spicy Montagnard stew of fresh meat and vegetables, in honor of the camp's American advisors, who prefer this almost American meal to some Vietnamese favorites. But regardless of the fare, all are grateful for the C-123, the Air Force's ability to adapt it to the special needs of Southeast Asia. You probably know that the F-4Cs are being used extensively for attack sorties and armed surveillance in Southeast Asia. What you may not have known is that this most sophisticated of modern fighters is operating from Phan Rang, newest and most primitive of any major Air Force installation. We have succeeded in placing a 10,000-foot aluminum strip just 12 miles from the heart of a sizable Viet Cong concentration. With this strategic addition, 150 miles northeast of Saigon, we have been able to improve our strike power against troop infiltration from North Vietnam. Open to combat operations in March 1966, Phan Rang has become a key expeditionary combat base, proving the theory that forward bases provide the quick response needed even with today's high-performance airplanes. While the F-4Cs return for each new load, a forward air controller remains over the target, providing instant identification and strike direction as each flight returns to combat. In this way, a fantastic number of sorties may be completed without lost time. Mere minutes elapse between strikes. A constant large supply of fuel, of course, is the first requirement at Phan Rang, and this has been uniquely provided by feeding the fuel directly to the base from tankers moored in Phan Rang Bay, 10 miles away. The vital jet fuel is pumped from the ships through a single surface pipeline and stored in 250,000-gallon POL bladders until needed for refueling the aircraft. All other supplies are brought to Phan Rang by cargo aircraft. Even the construction supplies and equipment are brought in this way. While construction work continues to make this base more secure and permanent, other work must be done to see that the Viet Cong are not allowed to frustrate our endeavors. In a way, it's the South Pacific of World War II all over again. Only now the security troops are air police and the artillery handed by a 101st Airborne Battery. Daily, 105mm howitzer shells are poured by the ton into known Viet Cong positions. The sound of artillery and small arms fire is frequent. So far, the VC has been checked, unable to carry out a damaging attack. If he does strike in force, airmen will lay down their tools and become riflemen to meet him head-on. Phan Rang, of course, is a tent city. The conditions are primitive. The going is rough. But Phan Rang is a PCS base, not a temporary operation. To a large extent, the base was a do-it-yourself accomplishment. When we went in at first, the shortage of construction personnel required that all available engineering people concentrate on the building of airstrip facilities. So the aviation personnel set out to build their own quarters. The job was done effectively, but the Air Force is rapidly closing the construction gap, and future expeditionary bases will more likely be built by special teams of the Air Force's own CB-type battalions, now being trained under the Prime Beef program. For all the austerity, the base is complete technically and fully equipped for support of the F-4C. Operations have been organized to fully meet the high level of activity now underway. The range of support services, after only 2 months of operations, already challenges those of many long-established, permanently housed bases. At Phan Rang, Air Force can-do is evident. A full community electrical power system has made the base an around-the-clock operation. Nighttime is used to advantage. Night operations are necessary to counter the communists' constant night movements. On this night, intelligence reports an almost certain movement along the Cambodian border. Positions are plotted, targets picked, and men briefed on the night's missions. Flare drop requests are made to Tan Son Nhut. The F-4Cs this night will slow the communist buildup. While briefing is completed, the munitions loading personnel prepare the weapons. This mission calls for the special qualities of the snake eye bomb, especially designed for supersonic assault against these personnel and supply train targets. The F-4C, of course, is a highly versatile weapons carrier. It can take a surprisingly heavy complement of either bombs or rockets. Here the Phantoms will carry 6 750-pound bombs, plus full complement of 4 Sparrow 3 radar-guided air-to-air missiles, nearly 8,000 pounds. A total load considerably more than the B-17s of World War II, and this a fighter aircraft. Once the bombs are away, if it comes to that, the F-4Cs will be ready to justify their reputation as the MiG shooters. By the time off-duty men awake, this aircraft will have delivered 3 attacks against the enemy. The Phan Rang day starts early. In the heat of this tropic place, men do all they can in the relative cool of dawn. Life is hard here, but it allows the basic comforts. And the food is good and plentiful. But most important of all is the satisfaction of a major contribution to our Air Force successes. Sometimes this base is like a desert, but during the monsoon it will become a wallow of mud with curtailed operations. But if the Phantoms can fly, they do fly. And what they do is prove our ability to combine Air Force know-how, advanced weapons, with even primitive hardships to back up our nation's resolve to keep men free from tyranny. Phan Rang may well qualify as world's ugliest air base, but be that as it may, it is easily one of the proudest.